And we are back here at the Intel Extreme Masters Grand Finals. TY versus Stats. Currently our Terran player TY with a 2-1 lead.
So far, I would say that this is the best match of the year. These macro games are like none we've ever seen. Literally the best of their races, the best players in the world playing out of their mind this week, and especially that last game on Abyssal Reef, just such a nail-biter.
We are now going into game number 4. Introducing our players here in the upper left, in the red, make some noise for TY! And his opponent in the bottom right, the best Protoss in the whole world, he is Stats!
And you know what, Tasteless? It wouldn't be right to be watching the greatest Terran in the world against the greatest Protoss in the world without the greatest observer in the world bringing all the action. Big shout out to Funka behind the scenes, making it so smooth.
Yeah, much love for Funka. Without him, we wouldn't know what the hell is going on in this game. Going on now into game number 4. Cute barracks placement over there.
Yeah.
We'll see if that plays a role here. It depends on whether or not the Protoss scouts. Now, we do have a probe tucked away here in the north. And it doesn't seem like it's going to be moving Artosis.
No, it certainly does not. This map, Palladino Terminal, it's just such a small, crazy map that so often we see one base all-in type strategies. And already a reactor going down for TY. He scouts, he sees the double gas. He's going to realize, oh, I think there might be a pylon missing here. Some sort of proxy tech on the way.
Stats playing a little bit more like TY there in game number 2. Now, he was scouted there. Let's see if he does. He should follow through with it. There really isn't much of a reason not to. There it is, Stargate. We were still waiting to see it get planted. Now, if you look at the travel distance from the Stargate to the main, it is pretty short.
Yeah. Now, I want to point something out here. Mothership Core is already on the way, as well as an Adept. There might even be a Zealot on the map I didn't quite catch, but the pylon rush is fantastically strong here. And this is part of the reason why TY built his barracks so far away. He does not want to be losing a reactor. And look at this, even gets the scout down on the proxy Stargate.
Very nicely done for TY. Now, even though he knows that this is coming, that doesn't mean it's going to be as easy to stop. This is a strategy that's engineered to really beat up the Terran very quickly. This game is going to be played on a knife's edge. We have the pylon down here in the front, hitting the SCV, making the barracks, and it's going to get the second. Will it? Yes.
It's so close to being finished, Tasteless.
It finishes, and then it will go down.
Beautiful move right there by Stats, dealing so much damage already. Now going after a couple of these depots. This is looking very rough at the moment for TY.
And he's only just getting started, and Oracle is about to come out. The Marines drawn down here to the pylon in the Mothership Core. SCV's trying to repair the depot. Oracle making a beeline to the worker line here. Over where the SCVs are, Marines do come out.
Oh, he throws down that Widow Mine, but Stats sees exactly where it is. Oh, takes a lot of damage from the Marines. A little bit of mismicro. Marine flanking there as it pops out, and the Oracle barely gets away.
Solid defense there by TY. He's currently, however, supply blocked. 2 depots making in the back. Not far from the minerals where the Marines have been forced to stay to protect if the Oracle does come back in. Speaking of that Oracle, it was fairly badly bruised. Let's see if Stats gets a little bit greedy here. He could go into range of this mine.
Yeah, he's got to be so careful with these Oracles. He needs to get a bit more damage done. He's put a lot into this, hasn't gotten a lot. Wow, great snipe there on a Widow Mine. A big win for Stats.
Already, Terran has been pretty badly gimped in this game. Stats now taking a second Nexus here. Worker count overall, 23 for TY, 28 here for Stats. The rush has essentially worked. He has an incredibly good pin. Actually, it's not even a pin, it's a contain at this point. It's a contain and a pin in some ways, Artosis.
It's everything with that pylon.
He can't get down the ramp yet, and then if he did get down the ramp, the Oracles can go in the main and kill the SCV. So Stats really set himself up to be in a good spot here, but now TY looks like he may be attempting to get out on his own.
A lock on there by the Cyclone. In fact, with double Oracle here and a couple Phoenixes, I think Stats is going to go in again, Tasteless. He's going to want to mix this up soon.
Yeah, I think most players would have tried to back off entirely. He does tag that army there. Now let's make sure Stats doesn't overstay his welcome here, because Terran is eventually going to be able to break this position. And with the range of the Viking as well as the Cyclone, it's a real threat, especially to the Mothership core, a pretty clunky unit.
Yeah, might get chased down here, unfortunately, for Stats, but he's got a solid air army. So it's not like we can just watch TY walk across the map and kill him. This is very dangerous to play against with someone who has the micro skills of Stats.
At this point in time, we have Stats with his second base. TY has just now managed to land this command center, which would have ideally been there much sooner had Stats not done such an insane strategy and really keeping his opponent under control. And in fact, he may be trying to come in here again with these Phoenixes. No, Cyclones, Vikings, and Marines deny that possibility. It's so important for the time being that Stats keep this army alive, but also TY not lose any more workers. In fact, these Adepts could try to shade in.
Here he goes, double Oracle as well as some great lifts. The Oracle's going.
That's it! That's it! GG! Yeah. Incredible play there by Stats. He just had too much. You know, we were saying earlier, Artosis, most people would not try to stay outside the Terran space. Most of them go back, try to macro up and get ahead. But instead, Stats hyper committing with even more Phoenixes, getting those two Oracles and keeping them around, and then mustering enough Adepts that if Terran didn't have bunkers and everything else over there, Stats would break him, and that's exactly what he did.
Well, that was great play from Stats, especially after picking off the Widow Mine early on. If you don't have enough Widow Mines to hold on against all that, with Marines blocking Phoenixes from picking them up, he's going to be able to bust you, especially on a map like Palladino Terminal with that opening.
We're currently tied up at 2-2 here. You can see Stats no longer playing the reactive game, at least in game number 4. He was the initiator back there. I do wonder how he's going to go into game number 5 here. These guys so far clearly very evenly matched, Artosis.
Well, yeah, 2-2. All we have left is a possible 3 games. And I think I can safely say that this is the greatest IEM Katowice finals that we've ever had in the long history of the tournament.
We're moments away now from starting game number 5. Each game, the player is showing a little bit more of his style, a little bit more of the tricks up his sleeve. It's so important as you advance in a series that's going to be this long in a game like StarCraft II that you are ready for whatever your opponent might be doing in the next game, because even as complex the styles and the strategies that these guys have, there's a limit to it, and there's only a certain number of right ones they can pull off.
But you know, the map pool is just so diverse right now in WCS. We have so many different ones. Like, for instance, Palladino Terminal we just saw, aggressive strats rule. What will be the next map? What will they choose to fit it?
Well, we're going to be finding out very soon as we start game number 5. In the bottom right, in the red, our Terran player, he is Team Y! His opponent in the upper left, currently the best Protoss player in the whole world. Make some noise for Stats!
Belshear Vestige. This map, definitely you can find some big macro games in, but there's a lot of drop area for Terran to work with. So Stats might choose to get a little bit aggressive early on. And to be honest, yeah, he's done like some proxying and stuff like that, but we haven't seen him try any crazy all-ins like a 7-gate Adept or anything like that.
Yeah, that's very true. The craziest strat we saw from Stats early on was in game number 4, and it was just a very aggressive, very well set up and executed proxy rush. But I don't know if he's going to do anything like a big Adept rush or something like that going into this game. It seems like TY might be the kind of player that is not going to lose that, and therefore Stats is playing around it. Stats, in a lot of the big important series that he's won here at the Intel Extreme Masters, he's managed to win by outlasting his player.
Yeah.
When the dust finally settles, Stats is suddenly up like 70 supply, and he goes and crushes them. But in this series, it seems like TY is a little bit too good in the late game, even for Stats. So Stats in that last one tries to throw a monkey wrench in the gears of TY's play, throw him off, and he got that win. But can he do it again? Will he do it again? We're gonna find out.
Yeah, you know, that is the problem, right? Because these guys are both kings of the late game, but TY truly is second to none when it comes to the complex army movements that you see when you're both maxed out, you both have full tech. He moves so precisely. He outthinks his opponent. He gets them out of position eventually and kills them like we saw on Abyssal Reef. So maybe Stats wants to go for another quick one where TY, if he does one miss micro, one misjudgment in the early game, he could die.
For the time being, we have a robo build coming here from Stats, breaking away from, at least initially, opening up with Phoenix Adept. We've seen him do this before and to great success, as he's very good if he has enough observers out on the map, basically stopping everything that TY is trying to do. But TY is also one of these players who knows how to play against his style and knows how to get map control, come out and keep gunning down observers so that way the Protoss has to keep making observers if he wants to see the drops, and he's not making Immortals, Colossi, Disruptors, War Prisms, you name it.
Now look at this strategy here. 2 Hellions being reactored out, 2 Widow Mines behind, most likely for a Widow Mine drop. But this is definitely something that can catch you off guard. Look at this, but Stats so fast, shades towards the Hellions. A great move right now. Mothership coming down to help, finishes one shade to kill off this other Hellion. And this defense is pretty fantastic, but still 4 probes going down.
Yep, 4 probes means that the Hellions paid for themselves. A very good opening there. And he does keep the Reaper alive, and as long as that Reaper's in the game, he can use that to move around the map, spot, try to scout the Protoss. There's a lot that Reaper can do to be a serious nuisance there for Stats.
No, a lot of patience there by Stats as well. I didn't see an overcharge go off, and that's a big deal. When you send in those first 2 Hellions, they can kill a lot of probes. In this case, only 4, but a lot of times the Protoss will utilize that. So with extra overcharges, it's going to be harder for TY to get damage done with this next phase, which is, of course, the Widow Mine drop.
We have the Reaper coming up, but this is really to distract. He's going to draw the screen away. Is it going to work? The Widow Mines are coming down. They both get planted, and 4 probes, 6 probes killed.
This was fantastic out of TY, drawing him away, as you said, with that Reaper play, dropping out those mines. 2 overcharges, not stopping either mine from burrowing. Great, great moves from TY.
I absolutely love the fact that TY takes this very little thing, he's still got the Reaper, and uses that to make that drop do the damage it had to do. If that Reaper had not come in there and drawn the screen away there from Stats, because I don't care how high your APM is, your screen can only be at one place at a time in StarCraft II. So what he did, he got in there, and while Stats was distracted, those probes were taken out.
It was the most immaculately timed thing that we may have seen throughout this tournament. Like, it only got 6 probes, we're talking about a lot, because no one can do that. That move was fantastic, and Stats has to be scratching his head. His defense is the best in the world, but still TY is eking out damage.
And eking out damage like this early on, we've seen it lead to bad timing attacks that end up killing him later on in the game. Let's remember the game that Stats did end up getting run over before Psionic Storm hit from TY. It might seem subtle losing 6 probes like that early on, but in the long run, in a big game like this, getting those blows out right away can be huge later on.
All right, this is the next phase of the game. Both players taking their third bases. TY rather quickly with his, but this is a 3 siege tank move out by TY. He has the Liberator coming in at the same time, going to try to hit both. And with the Colossus tech, theoretically, this can be held very well, but let's see, it's hard to engage against 3 siege tanks.
That's right. He's coming up here right now. The Protoss forces are a little bit brittle, and these siege tanks, the Protoss has to respect. And with the Liberation Zone being set up here, he is just a few hexes away from hitting that Nexus, and you cannot afford to lose a Nexus. Here is Protoss.
No, this is brutal. He's waiting for Thermal Lance, though. Maybe another warp in as well. Stats is going to have to make a strong move coming up. Great targeting on these siege tanks as well. The Liberator getting repositioned. One Colossus falls immediately.
Stats is in some trouble. The push is pretty good. TY did not want to take it to late game. He wants to try to possibly close this out right here, right now. More reinforcements coming up. Some loaded into the bunker. The tank's now rotating back, so the poking didn't work.
Look at this, even gonna hit the third base here with just a few units. Marines and Marauders heading down there. There's a bunker up, a turret on the way, 2 Siege Chinks and a Liberator. This is so hard to break for Stats.
The hard push comes in. Stats is trying to fight back. It does look like the turret barely finishes in time. And I gotta tell you, this hard contain right here is a nightmare for Protoss. It's really difficult to stop. And at this point in time, TY is continuing to have his units head northbound to meet up. He may, after eliminating this Nexus, then go try to destroy Stats at second base, resulting in a win for Terran.
The crazy thing about this is that he has his own third base back behind. TY taking that so quickly, but still executing such a valuable and strong push that could maybe eliminate Stats right here.
At this point in time, Stats either needs to do a bunch of damage to the SCVs, but most importantly, try to take out this position that's been set up here. More turrets coming in to be more of a headache for that Colossus that's over there. The shields on the Nexus are gone. Is he going to try to do it, or is this a fake? He's shading forward.
Oh, man.
He needs the rest of the army to meet up here. He did bait out a stim. That was pretty good, but I don't think that's going to be enough at all.
Okay, a single Adept harassing at third base. That's good for Stats, but this Nexus is getting low. He has to move, and he has to move now. I think this Shady might let finish even.
It's gonna happen right when Concussive Shells finishes. He's moving forward now. The position for Stats is not good. The turret goes down, the Colossus in the back, not hitting the infantry. The bunker remains as Protoss pulls back.
TY holding that break and still sieging up this Nexus. More units being warped in. Vikings even on the way to help supplement. Will Stats be able to break out? He has to do now. TY stimming forward.
He's closing in. There's nothing left for Stats. The second base is gonna go down. GG!
TY with an amazing push here, destroying Stats' third base, destroying his natural, even in a game where Stats went for fast Colossus. This man is looking unbeatable.
Very cool to see what TY did back there. He did some damage early on, and then he piled it on with bunkers, turrets, and every other unit he needed. Marines, Marauders, getting Vikings later on. The Siege Tank's in a great position. The Liberator covering the bunker and the turret. There just wasn't anything that Stats could do. And Stats going into game number 6 is going to have to be very, very careful.
Strategically amazing, as well as execution, the level of which we've never seen. Killing 10 probes against one of the best defensive players in the history of StarCraft II. TY is the full package and is now on match point. Stats has to win this next game if he wants to see that game number 7 and a chance to be a champion for the first time.
We are seeing such a wide range of different TVPs here. We're really getting the full package, and it's exhibiting just how solid these two guys are in their respective races. At this point in time, they've got a very good read on each other's strengths and weaknesses, what builds they tend to use and tend not to use, and they're gonna have to factor that in as they go into game number 6.
This is getting wild. It's getting down and dirty. Only a couple maps do remain within the whole pool. Of course, the amazing Net Wars community always coming out strong for StarCraft II.
They've been around for a long time, all the way back to the early days of Brood War. All right, guys, let's get noisy, let's get hype. This is game number 6. In the upper right, in the red, make some noise for TY! In the upper left, in the blue, our Protoss player. Let's make some noise for Stats!
Honor Grounds will be where Stats must make his stand. It's a giant 4-player map. We see a lot of epic macro games here. But of course, either one of these guys could choose to do an all-in at any time.
We have the probe now coming up. A fortunate scout here as he does get to the first starting location. Over here in the upper right, the probe now hitting this SCV. The SCV, the other SCV, I should say, does come down here to try to chase away the probe, and he's going to have to try to either repair that SCV or make sure that it doesn't take any further damage. Not huge here, but not a bad start here for Stats. Certainly in a game of this level, even having them pull one SCV because of that early scout is pretty good.
Certainly it is, and to find your opponent first on a 4-player map is always something you love as a StarCraft II pro gamer. To be able to just see, like, is he going command center first? Is he opening with the Reaper? Is it gonna be a quick factory or all in? Stats has all this information now, and he has to feel very good about his chances of holding anything in the early game.
So, for the time being, we want to see how Stats might play differently here in the early game, because clearly in that last match, we saw the TY saw every weakness, exploited it, got a really good push. And, you know, a lot of times at this level of play, those kind of pushes are not supposed to work that well.
Yeah.
Usually the Protoss can hold it off, but TY had the sickest positioning back there and was really able to bully Stats out of Game 5 into Game 6.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. I didn't expect that game to look like that when the tanks moved out. I knew it would be a very powerful push, but Stats never being able to break it. Don't know if we'll see that same type of game here again. Stats might mix it up a bit more as the Reaper finds his base. No tech buildings up quite yet.
We do see, at least for now, just conservative play. It is going to be the Robo again. That's really what we were waiting to see here, because it's there is a tree that you have to follow here as Protoss, and one of those branches goes towards a Robo, another one can go towards the Stargate. So,
yeah.
So the fact that he's going for a Robo means that whatever happened in that last game, Stats feels he can fix, not with strats so much, but with more mechanics and vigilance.
Yeah, you know, I think that especially on this map, it is a doable thing too. You have that watchtower we're looking at right there. You can kind of see things coming, poke it a little bit more before it gets in. So we'll see how his defense goes. But in the meantime, a couple Hellions coming up. We could see that same type of move with the Widowmine drop following some Hellion harassment.
Okay, the Reaper comes up. Does it get gunned down here? It is eliminated, but the two Hellions are still coming in. A second pylon cannon activated. Really well-placed mothership core here. And we're waiting to see if there's going to be any worker kills so far. The Hellion now coming down, but it's getting lower and lower on HP. Stats not even phased, not even stopping his workers from mining here, as it looks like this will be cleaned up.
Not quite as effective as last time. He did force out 2 overcharges, so that's a small victory, but only killing half as many probes as in the previous game.
Just like the last game, we see 2 Widowmines coming out on the map. Now remember, the Hellions killed 4 probes back there. The Widowmines killed, I mean in the previous game. In this game, they killed 2. Now, in the previous game, the Widowmines killed 6 probes. Let's see how many they get here, and then we'll probably be able to see if TY decides whether or not he can be aggressive again, assuming that's what he wants to do.
Well, you know, he used up 2 overcharges, so there's definitely a chance for this to get in there. Stats already in a great position. 2 Stalkers and 2 Adepts can really make short work of such a drop. So immediately, TY turns around. He's following the same build, the same strategy as the previous game, but Stats is far more prepared for every aspect of it.
And that's something we've always seen from Stats. He always takes whatever loss not as a blow, but as an opportunity to learn, even when he's on the big stage here at the Intel Extreme Masters Finals. And I don't think that TY is going to have the same success with pressure if he does decide to go that route here. Instead, he's spread his Widowmines out on the map so that if there are any stray Protoss units moving about, they will be picked off. And this is a cool place to put it at, because it's very tempting if you're both sharing the north part of the map to try to send drops through there, especially Warp Prism. So that may play a large factor later on. So let's keep our eyes on that for now.
Like, Stats will eventually make a Warp Prism because TY hasn't done any damage to him, you know? It's not like he's from behind. So when that Prism flies over there, if he just loses that and has units in it, that's a huge advantage for TY. Will Stats realize? That's a hard thing to see right there, but yeah, he might.
Now, this is pretty bad, because if he loses those 2 Widowmines, it gives Protoss a lot more map presence, and it seems like he's going to try to skirt out over here. Now, there are Terran units on the map. You want to be careful, because the Colossus... Okay, he's actually going to do the same push again, Artosis.
Yeah.
He says if it's not broke, don't fix it. Now he picks up both the Widow Mines here.
That's really good.
Let's see how the execution is here on this push. Last time it smashed Stats, but so far Stats' defense on his probes was good. He should have a little bit more to try to fight this.
Yeah, I think that he's going to be able to hold on this time. A Liberator, though, is sent towards the natural, and there is nothing there to defend.
As he pushes forward, this Liberator can do a lot of damage on these probes as well as delay mining. Less income means less units being produced here to defend this big attack coming here from TY.
All right, the siege tanks in position. The Widow Mines starting to burrow, but Stats has so much. Getting right on top there, drawing the Widow Mines into the siege tanks as well. And it looks like this defense will be no hard thing for Stats.
He does take out everything. A brilliant play there by Stats, even shutting down the Liberator, losing basically no probes. The harass isn't done yet, but I certainly can say that there's no way, nicely done, that there's no way Stats is going to be worried going on through this game for now.
He has defended everything better than I can even imagine. He's back in that form that we saw in some of the previous games in this series. TY can't be feeling very good about this game. Sure, he hasn't taken damage, but he's lost a lot of units and not gotten really anything done.
You know, to be honest, Artosis, Stats made it look like TY should never try doing that ever again.
Yeah.
with how well he handled that. Now, TY is relying now on the harass, but remember, harass is a double-edged sword. If you end up losing the medevacs and don't kill any probes or critical tech structures, you're getting further and further behind by throwing your units away.
This is, it's a tough thing for TY. Like, do you continue these drops? Are you still going to look for damage, or are you putting your tail between your legs? It looks like he wants to go down the drop route, but look at this. Stats has an observer there. He has everything ready. TY just can't find an in.
So, for now, Stats is completely sealed off from any of the damage that TY is trying to do. Now, the map control to some extent is going to go to TY, but that's really more of a Terran versus Protoss thing at this phase of the game, especially when Protoss opts to go for this kind of tech. Protoss wants to stay back, develop a very sophisticated army, backed up with a lot of really nice upgrades to combat Terran later on. And as long as those attacks are bouncing off of you, Protoss is going to be in good shape. So I'd say right now, Stats in the slightest lead.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. Stats is looking fantastic. The one thing that I guess is slow for him is his upgrades. He hasn't started them yet, whereas 1-1 will be finishing for TY. But as he gets more and more splash damage, it doesn't matter quite as much.
Now, remember those two Widow Mines we saw earlier there? Well, they were driven away, so they won't be able to catch that Warp Prism. This could have been a completely different game if they had not been spotted. So for the time being, it doesn't mean it's going to be used right now, but there is the opportunity for Stats to try to go do some harass. Excuse me, he is going to do it right now over on this broken bridge area. It's a good location to try to warp in from.
Oh, that
very
was
nice
sick. Getting a couple sentries, but Stats going forward with his Prism does let out those 4 Adepts, dealing some significant damage, and the Prism is still alive.
The Adepts now shade over into the main. The Vikings will clean up the Warp Prism, and eventually TY will clean up that harass. Stats, though, not going to overextend here. I think that was somewhat of a failed attempt at harass, and I think Stats needs to be pretty careful here. You know, Protoss doesn't regain hit points, only shield, so every time Widow Mines are hitting, your army's getting softened up. And keep in mind just how quickly Terran units deal damage. Marines, Marauders, Widow Mines, and with Stimmen incorporated in that, your army can melt very quickly for Protoss, especially if you're in a bad position. So I think Stats is going to have to be a little bit more careful from here on out.
Yeah, he definitely does not want to be running into any mines. TY is still making a formidable army despite the fact that he didn't do any damage in the early game. But right now, having all these disruptors in his army, I think Stats feels comfortable enough. He's taken his 4th base, as is TY. And right now, like, both these armies, if controlled correctly and your opponent makes any mistakes, can just crush your opponent.
It's starting to look like one of our earlier games, Artosis. Was it actually game number 2? I think game number 2 or number 3 now. I'm losing.
Number 3, Abyssal Reef,
right?
the crazy one.
Thank you. The Abyssal Reef game. We got into Supreme late game, and we're talking about things like Ghosts coming into play. We already see, in this case, Stats now getting the Dark Shrine Disruptors are now becoming a reality here in this Terran versus Protoss, and it's going to be tough as these guys grow on the map. Harass is going to be a bigger issue.
TY, look at that double missile turret, floating factory, and the scan. denying every single drop, so Stats not able to get any damage done. Stats is starting to poke, but with the defensive Vikings and Liberators, I do not feel like he can kill TY. He's going to have to kill TY's army when TY is walking around.
I believe your analysis is correct, Dartosis. This is, I think if Stats does push in here, it could be risky. It looks like he's going to try to do it anyways, or at least test the perimeter here. But I think it certainly would be wiser to try to take on TY's army in an attack of his own up here. And he didn't want to push in. He just sent the Adepts in there to shade through, to get some intel, and then pull back out. He's trying to get a read on what the army composition is right now here for TY.
Yeah, and this is the exact moment where they both realize that they can't kill each other. Blink DT's on the way, a Stargate on the way, a Fusion Core on the way for ranged Liberators. They are going to the full tech, just like we saw in Abyssal Reef, but a lot quicker. This map makes some of the most epic macro games, and it doesn't feel like they're going to be able to really deal damage to each other until they have their ultimate units, and both players get very spread out.
As you can see, both sides essentially impenetrable. But of course, as the game goes on, they begin to run out of more resources, and that does force them to expand so they can have opportunities later on. And as they do continue to expand out, it's harder to defend everywhere else on the map, and that may be the moment that TY begins the initiation. As we can see here, Medevacs now headed up northbound, spotting for the gold base, and that's a very important base to look for. He's gonna unload and chase, take that out. The gold base, when that's acquired, the momentum really ramps up here in the late game. And he's actually coming through and just tearing apart some of this Protoss army, basically getting that for free, picking up now, rotating. Cody, get the forge! He's unloading here right now, trying to get these upgrades. He denies it. The pylon at least. Is he gonna be able to get the forges as well? This is huge!
Getting both those forges is absolutely awesome for TY, killing off all the upgrades and now sieging up Stats' fourth base. Somehow in this game where it looked like they could not hurt each other, dealing a huge blow to Stats.
TY is initiating. Stats is spread out everywhere, and now this position, I don't know if Stats is going to be able to break it.
Oh man, even the Vikings picking off the Colossus as best they can. A lot of disruptors in here, but the Liberators are going to be so hard to engage.
The Adepts are coming in, Liberators in a good position. The Vikings now hitting the Colossi. Stats and supply is beginning to shrink.
And it looks like this could be it for our Protoss player. TY doing a great job, but his land army is gone. The Stalkers have maneuvered around. More Stalkers being phased in here, and they're just gonna blink forward, killing off some of these units, but that was a great move by TY.
So for the time being, although there was a lot of damage done back there to Stats, as well as the upgrades shut down, essentially reset for the time being, it is an opportunity here for Stats to try to do a counter push of his own.
Uh-oh, not a lot of supply left over for TY here. He really needs ranged Liberators to deal their damage to Stats' army to keep him back. But Stats walking forward, this is really deadly with that many disruptors.
Did TY overextend? Did he try to do a brilliant play but lose too many units? Stats is now marching in towards the heart of TY's base.
Here we go, disruptor shots starting to funnel out, getting a lot of SCVs so far. Oh my God, huge hits coming out of Stats as he starts to bust up the tech and bases of our Terran
If
God.
Stats can breach the main here of TY, he will lose all his production facilities. To top that off, Stats right now has cut TY off from defending his expansions. Tactically, Stats could take this game to a win as long as he can keep TY boxed in the upper right side of the map.
Lots of damage on both sides. Some Medevacs going for a counterattack here, and a massive blink forward trying to take out one of TY's bases. Stats will succeed.
We see now the SCVs retreating back. The only thing going here for TY is the gold base, and there's nothing there to defend. Instead of trying to get to defend that, TY tries to turn the tides with some harass of his own.
Oh, Stats running back. Those Liberators gonna get caught out by themselves. The Stalkers blink under and kill them so quickly. Looks like those TY will take down one of Stats' remaining bases.
Stats' next upgrades are about to finish here. He does not have a lot of operational bases. The supply, though, still in the lead for Stats, but with Medevacs, TY certainly has more mobility.
TY barely mining right now his gold base. He's got to clean this up. Sends down his bio, but right behind him is Stats. He's coming up with a massive Stalker army. Still has some disruptors here as well as the Liberator comes in to help.
He's using these disruptors to try to zone back the ground army. The command center goes down, as does the Liberator. And I do not believe that TY has an income.
No, TY is just about down and out as far as bases go. He's trying to sneak one in the bottom right, but Stats, he's already got another new base up. Mass DT's coming in right now. GG is called. Stats evens up the series and brings us to game number 7.
Unbelievable play back there. TY with an absolutely terrifying attack. But at the same time, Stats identified that TY lost too much of his ground army, pushed across, cutting TY in half, and then dismantling his expansions.
Just an epic series so far. It seems as if these two were born to play against each other. This might be the most exciting thing that I've seen in StarCraft in years.
I cannot believe we are going to game 7. Guys, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, the last StarCraft II match here at the Intel Extreme Masters.